Okay, everyone. You asked for it. You got it. Another live show. How's everybody doing? I'm doing good. What is that talking about? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's July, what is it today? July 21st, 2021. And it was a beautiful, beautiful day today here in Clearwater Beach, Florida. Got out and got to throw the discs around a little bit. A little practice. I'll be talking about that in a bit. But everything is good here. Maybe you can't tell by looking at me, but I have been on a fast for over 24 hours now. True story. The last time I ate was at about 8 o'clock yesterday. 8 p.m. over. So 25 hours ago is the last time I had any food. And all I've had since then has been water and this stuff right here. A little bit of Publix Diet Green brewed iced tea with honey and ginseng. And I thought I wanted to try it. It had been on my mind since Phil Mickelson won the PGA Championship about a month ago or whenever it was. And he had talked about how he has been at 50 years old. And what he does, he actually fasts twice a week for 36 hours. It's crazy. And that's one of what he credits with. One of the things that he gives credit to for being in shape at his age. And he and I are about the same age. He was born in June of 1970. And myself, I have my next birthday coming up on August 1st. So it's coming up. So I haven't eaten since yesterday. And I'm a little hungry. We'll see how it all plays out for tonight as far as how the show goes for 2 hours. And then I'm going to sleep, and then I will eat tomorrow. But it was something that I wanted to try, being that he brought it up. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm also, I have to admit, I'm also kind of penalizing myself because when I went over to Orlando, what happened on Monday was that, thank you, Kathy. On Monday, I did the interview for this coming Friday at noon. And then I had a call with my assistant, Eric, regarding Unfound on the Ground, which I'll be talking about eventually. And then after that, I jumped in the car and I drove over to Orlando. And I stayed overnight there. And then on Tuesday morning, I went over to DeBary, Debary, Florida, to play a little disc golf on a couple of courses that will be used in August for the Amateur World Championships, which I'm signed up for. So I went over there. I was over there on Tuesday morning and got in some good practice. I don't know, about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours. There's 2 courses there. So I guess 2 hours on both, maybe not that long. But I was over there. It was hot. I was really one of the only people there, which I love. And I love being able to just take my time on the course. I'm not passing anybody up. Nobody's rushing me. Just me and the course out there, taking some notes, doing a little throwing, taking some measurements with my laser rangefinder and everything. And I had a notebook out there, just me and the course. And then after I was done, jumped in the car and drove back here to Clearwater. I got here a little after 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock on Tuesday. But while I was over there on that Monday night, I did cheat on my diet a little bit. Had some soda, had some pasta. I had a gift certificate to Olive Garden there. So I went to Olive Garden. I had a steak, pasta, of course, the the breadsticks and all of that, which are really some of those things I'm really not supposed to be eating. And so the penalty for that is that yesterday evening at around 8 o'clock, I decided I'm not eating till Thursday. So I'm not eating till tomorrow. So I will go to bed tonight without eating. And then tomorrow I will eat. And then I have trivia, which I always go over there and eat during trivia. So I'll get back to what I was doing. But surely this will be the longest I've ever gone without eating in my life. And so we'll see how it goes. So that's what's been going on with me since Monday. So let's see who all is in here. Please, if you're watching, give this video a thumbs up on whatever kind of device you're using, whether it's on your phone, whether it's a tablet, whether it's your good old-fashioned laptop or desktop. Please give this video a thumbs up as you're watching, whether live right here on July 21st, 2021, or if you are catching this video sometime in the future or in the past. That would be kind of cool. Please give this video a thumbs up. Helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So let's see who's in here. Louise was first, and she was saying how she got COVID, which I was very sorry to hear that, Louise. That's terrible. There's Karen and Joyce Rivatuzo. Hello, Joyce, saying hello from Panama City Beach, Florida. Joyce says, I'm looking good. Oh, you're too kind, Joyce. Thanks. It's funny. Some pictures in the memories section on my Facebook page came up within the last couple days. And these pictures go back, I think one of them's from 2016. And I think the other one is from maybe 2019. Maybe. And I got to be honest. I think I look better now. With the longer hair, I've lost some weight. Even though it's probably 45, 46, 47 in those pictures. I don't know. But I appreciate it, Joyce. Hello, Kathy. Cherie, good to see you moderating the live show tonight, as always. Good to see Cherie, Jasmine, and Charlotte. And Robert says, good evening. Well, good evening to you, Robert. What's going on? K-Dog, hello. I hope you're well. I'm doing well, K-Dog. I'll be better when I can eat again. Kathy said Phil's birthday, June 16th, 1970. Hello, Mama. Robert says, eat a steak. I had a steak on Monday evening. I'm allowed steak, but the pasta that I had on Monday night, that's a lot of carbs. Cherie says her daughter is also born on June 16th. Well, that's interesting. Cherie, she's born on the same day as Phil. That's kind of cool. And Cherie also says fasting is good for you. Wish I had that kind of discipline. Well, like I said, it's a combo of wanted to see if I could do it and a penalty for cheating so badly on Monday night. But it's not been as hard as I thought it was going to be, but I'm sure by tomorrow morning, it's not going to be any fun. But Kathy, as long as you're moving, okay, talking to Louise. Hello, Carrie, another assistant in here. Hello, Carrie, what's going on? Hello, Jody, with the little hello to you, Jody. And Fishing says hello from Lower Bama. Down in the Mobile, going as south as far as you can go fishing down to Mobile, which I've been through a few times. Going from Florida over to Mobile, and you go kind of through this tunnel, which seems to be underwater or something as you're getting into Mobile. That's what I know about Mobile, Alabama fishing. Good. I'm good to hear it. Glad to hear it, Robert. So, yes, as I said, on Monday, I drove over there. And if you don't realize it, maybe this is not too obvious. Mondays are kind of like my weekend. Because, of course, the episodes come out on Fridays. Saturday, of course, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm working. I write the blog, following what people are saying about the episode. Of course, sometimes I have a disc golf tournament or something. And then, of course, on Sunday evenings, it's the think tank. But Monday is usually that day that is lighter than all the others, because by the time Tuesday and then Wednesday, then everything is getting prepared for the next episode. So Mondays are usually the days I can find some time to do other things besides Unfound or whatever. And so I had that opportunity. Although I did do the interview on Monday, everything kind of lined up for me to drive over there, stay overnight, right there in Orlando. And then DeBerry is like another half hour on the other side. So I got up, drove over there, and then made the whole way drive back to Clearwater Beach. And it was good. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing I decided to do and got it done. Yes, like I said, my birthday is coming up August 1st. It's a Sunday, which once again, about a week and a half, I will be 51 years old. Cannot believe it. 51. Crazy. It's crazy. Kathy says, love the fasting before colonoscopy. Not hard to fast if you're a diabetic. Yeah, Kathy, I bet. Yes. Hello, Heather. Another assistant in here tonight. Cherie, Carrie, Heather. Good to see all of you. And Fishing says, no wrong way. At Bama, Georgia, and Florida lines. Oh, so, okay. Not on that little skinny part that sticks down there, Fishing. I gotcha. Okay. And Fishing says, birthday is July 29th. Another Leo. I knew I liked something about you, Fishing. July 29th. Okay. I think I've said this before on this live show, but it's really weird that, and I'm not an astrology person by any means, but it's weird how many women that I have, of course I'm single at 51. So, there's going to be a number. And how many of them have also been Leos? It is an inordinate amount, more than ever the odds would say would be possible. But, July 31st, August 4th, August 7th, August 12th. I don't know what it is. Now I've gone out with a few women that I thought we had good chemistry. One's birthday was October 12th, and another one was March 1st. So, yes, I do remember their birthdays. That's true. But it just seems how many of them ended up also being born under the sign of Leo. It's like I can almost predict it. I don't know what it is. Yes, Fishing, laughing out loud. Okay. So yeah, August 1st, I plan to be here in the Clearwater Beach area for August 1st. However, and that takes me to the next topic. I am throwing around the idea of driving up to see, I've already talked to him about it a couple days ago, about driving to Pennsylvania maybe the day after I'll be speaking of Mondays, August 2nd, and staying there probably until about August 10th or 11th, something like that, and then coming back. My buddy Doug, some of you may remember from 2 years ago. It's already been over 2 years. I can't believe it. But he and I went to the Iron Maiden concert together down here in Florida. Well, he's going to be turning 50 August 7th. So yes, he's also a Leo like I am. He also has the same birth date as an ex-girlfriend of mine. But so he turns 50 August 7th, but there's a party being thrown for him. It's not a surprise birthday party, but there's a party that's going to be held for him in Pennsylvania on August 6th, and I've been invited. Now, he lives in North Carolina, but a lot of his family, like a lot of my family, still lives in the Pennsylvania, Ohio area. And so that's where the party's going to be, and I've been invited. So I can kind of knock out a few birds with one stone. Going to see my dad. He's also invited to the party, by the way. Go to this party, go up there for a few days, drive up there, and then come back maybe August 10th or something like that. So I'd be up there for a little over the week. The tough thing is that I mentioned disc golf and the Amateur World Championships that are going to take place in the Orlando area. They start on August 17th. So I don't want to cut it too close. So I want to make sure that I get back here, have plenty of time to do whatever I have to do here before then I have to drive all the way over to Orlando, because the tournament starts on a Tuesday, if you can believe it. We play for 4 days, and then there's a cut. You have to make a certain point, and then there's an additional round, 2 rounds on Saturday. So I have to go over there on Monday. I already have my reservations over there. So to play on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, beginning on August, once again, 17th. So I have to get over on there on the 16th, which means I have to be home for a few days, get everything in order, and then drive over there. So I can't be hanging out in Pennsylvania too long. So I'll figure it out, but that's probably what's going to happen. The reason I'm going to drive instead of fly is because if I fly, it's very difficult to take everything I need to take to do the program. I don't have any, if I'm going to be up there and need to practice, I'm not going to go like over a week or whatever, not getting a little practice in. How am I going to take my discs up there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm probably just going to drive. It's about a 16.5-hour drive. So if I leave here at like 6 in the morning, I'll get there before 11 o'clock. So it's just a long day, really. And I've done it many times before. So that's probably what's going to happen. It's not written in stone yet. Not written in stone. But it's a plan, and of course, I'll have to figure that out. I got a little time to work on that. But what is everybody? Charlotte says, I've heard that Leos are supposed to be a good match with Aquarians, too. When is Aquarius? I don't even know when that is, Charlotte. You'll have to tell me. Valerie, okay, I worked 14 hours today. Still here. Okay, Valerie. Charlotte says, my middle daughter's birthday is July 26th. Mine is August 13th. My son is August 22nd. And my oldest grandson is August 24th. Now, I know there's a cutoff in there somewhere for Leos later in August, Charlotte, so I'm not sure where that line is, but surely the 26th and August 13th are both Leos. Sheree says, 18 hours to Colorado. I'll never drive it again. Awful. Huh. Don't know. From Texas to Colorado. Yeah, it's probably a different kind of drive, Cherie. It's not as, of course, Texas is very populated, but once you get up into, are you going through New Mexico, Oklahoma, Colorado, into Colorado, it's not as populated. Driving from Florida to Pennsylvania, you have to go mostly up the East Coast there. It's very populated, but it's about 1,300 miles. Oh, Cherie says, well, I had three people under 25 too. So, well, that would certainly count for something. Yeah, I'll be doing this by myself. And I do make it in one trip. I don't stop. I stop to get gas. That's it. You get on the road and you don't stop until you get there. So yeah, I've done the drive, as Cherie knows, I've done the drive, to Pennsylvania, back from Pennsylvania with my father a couple times. Not a couple trips I'd like to remember, really. So I actually prefer driving by myself. So I feel you, Cherie. I gotcha. Carrie says, drive to Texas. I'm not going to reveal what Texas Carrie is, but is a long haul, 15 plus hours. It's not that big of a deal driving that far for me. I've driven across the United States a few times. And I had to drive, a job where I drove quite a bit. It was not unusual for me to start in Las Vegas, go down to LA, go to San Diego, go to Phoenix, and then the whole way back up to Las Vegas, one big circle, counterclockwise circle, within a couple days. So not unusual, for me, but I think it makes it very easy with the kind of car I have. It gets very good gas mileage. In fact, if I time it just right, I only have to stop once for gas between Florida and Pennsylvania. That's how good a gas mileage my car gets. And it's just right in there. Like I said, maybe it's not quite 1,300 miles, but I can get on a cruising over 600 miles in a tank of gas on my Hyundai Sonata. So that's what makes it maybe a little easier as well. So those are some of the things that are going on with me. Been playing a little guitar, playing a little keyboard, but been very busy. And the rest of the week, just a regular old week, pretty much. Already have most of the episode recorded for Friday, and then I'm doing the interview for next Friday's episode on Saturday. So those are some of the things. The Miami condo collapse, I continue to follow that. There's some good videos that are being done. I would recommend the YouTube channel Building Integrity. That guy's done some nice videos. And I still say nothing has changed my mind since it first happened, where I talked about it on here, is that it's going to be a combination of factors that caused this collapse. It's going to be a combination, and when I say combination, not just two, it's probably going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 issues that kind of all came together, from physics to chemistry to design to lack of maintenance, all of it coming together in a very bad way. But once again, I would go to the channel Building Integrity if you'd like to watch several videos now that this guy has done on the collapse. Carrie says, gas mileage in my Trax is pretty good, but not as good as my old 2008 Sonata. So you had a Sonata too, Carrie. A Hyundai Sonata. That's what I have. It's a 2016. It now has over 80,000 miles on it. Charlotte says, Leo is July 23rd to August 22nd. Thank you for letting me know, Charlotte. My nephew, Charlie, is also a Leo. I believe his birthday is August 16th, I think. Fishing says, August 2nd, my late husband's birthday, and ours would be 40 years anniversary this year. Happy birthday if I don't catch you. Well, I hope you do catch me, Fishing. Thank you. Carrie says, missed that car. You missed the Sonata. I know. I've had my Sonata since the summer of 2017. It had 37,000 miles on it when I got it. It was a former rental car. I bought it from a Hertz rental place here in Clearwater. They were selling them. And the only things I've had to do, I've put about 43,000 miles on it, which isn't a lot. I mean, considering that I've driven back and forth to Pennsylvania maybe 6 times, maybe 5 times. That's 1,300 miles one way. So it's 2,600 times 5. That's, just cruising everything else has only been like 20,000 miles. Really, other than driving to Pennsylvania, I've really not put a lot of miles on it. Of course, I drove to Amarillo as well, which was like 1,700 miles one way. The only things that I've done to it, put gas in it, change the oil. I just recently changed the windshield wipers, and I've changed the tires. That's it. Even though this is a former rental car that was probably abused, and that has been it. It just runs. It just runs. And I've been thinking, I even was talking a few months ago, you'll remember, about me getting another car, but it's so tough to think about getting another car when the car you have is so good. Now, it's not a sexy car. It's not a flashy car. There are many, 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 many like it on the road. That is for sure. I see so many white Hyundai Sonatas like of my body style out there. But it's so hard to think about getting another car when the car you have just runs. Air conditioning, the sound is fantastic. The sound system is fantastic. It's comfortable. I prefer that type of car. Anything smaller than that would feel a little cramped to me. But anything bigger than that probably would feel like a boat. It's like the perfect size. I'd recommend them to anybody. But I know they've changed body styles. The newer body style, I'm not a big fan of it. But it just runs. That's all I can say. Cherie says regarding the Miami condo, for sure it all goes back to the architect, so many factors, for sure. Fishing says this year, okay. Spleen says, my husband has a Sonata. It's interesting. They're known as being very good cars, but I know another disc golfer who has a 2018. The engine blew up on his in like 20,000 miles. So he saw me one day, I don't know, it's been a while now, and says, man, are you, he asked me, how my car's been. I said, it's been fantastic. And then he went on complaining about his. So I don't know. I think Hyundais have a very good reputation. So I don't know if he got a lemon or what happened there, but I would recommend, if you're looking into buying a used car, I would certainly recommend the 2015, 16, 17 Sonatas. And the other thing is, it's hardly, of course, used car prices right now are crazy in value. My car has even though I've put 40-some thousand miles on it, it has hardly lost any value at all. It's crazy. In 4 years, 40,000 miles, looking an Auto Trader, and I actually had mine up for sale for a little bit. It's not lost value at all. Not $1. It's crazy. It's crazy. Never could I expected that. Valerie says, my parents just got a Sonata. They like it. I'm happy for them. Carrie, mine had 48,000 miles when I bought it. Totaled it with poor payments left, just over 152,000 miles. Well, Carrie, only totaled because damage done to transmission, or they would have fixed it. Block wall 1, Carrie 0. Carrie. Sorry to hear that, Carrie. Dang. You put some miles on that thing, though, Carrie. Mama, I have some family who live in Pennsylvania, and I was born in New Brighton. I've been to New Brighton, Pennsylvania, Mama. In fact, back in high school, we played them in baseball. When I was a sophomore, they beat us in the playoffs. 1987, must have been May of 1987 at Pullman Park in Butler. New Brighton beat us in the semifinals in the WPIAL. True story. And I've been through New Brighton many times. And my grandparents lived in Beaver Falls, PA, for over 60 years. Well, wow. My freshman roommate, Mama, was from Monaca when I went to Grove City. Cherie says, I think paid off and dependable is more important to a female than fast and flash. Just my opinion. Look at Cherie coming in hard up. You're probably right, Cherie. I was thinking about getting something else. Of course, I never did reveal what I was thinking about, and I won't. But just something, a little more something. And then I decided against it. I think everybody has figured out by this time. I'm a very simple guy. And I think I like things that are dependable. I like going downstairs, getting in my car, turning it on, and it's starting up and going. And we know they're just machines. They're going to break down sooner or later, but I don't like having those big kinds of question marks in my life, and I've owned some cars like that. I had a older Mercedes-Benz that was like that. I had 2 Ford Tauruses that were like that. The Pontiac Grand Prix I had was pretty good, but the transmission ended up going on that out of nowhere. So I've had some vehicles that have been very, very dependable. And I've had some cars that, you're driving them just, you're kind of listening for things. And that's crazy. Carrie agrees. I have a first cousin in Bedford. I've been to Bedford. Gary, my area of Missouri is like Texas. You got to drive to go anywhere 10 miles from a gas station. All right. So we've talked cars tonight and my diet. And I really have not decided what I'm going to eat tomorrow to end this fasting period. Maybe ribs. Because I can eat ribs for my diet. So I'll think about it. All right, let's move on, being that we're already a half hour in. Let's move on to the items of this tonight's Unfound Live. As always, I will start with the poll that was put that I conduct. Well, I don't conduct it. I guess it's Facebook that's conducting it. I write it. I set it up, and then in the discussion group, people vote if they'd like. I asked if the second postcard was connected to Randy at all or not. And a majority of you decided that yes. In the discussion group, they decided that the postcard is connected to him somehow. In the think tank, I think, although it was not a total 100% consensus, was the opposite. And if you'd like to be part of the think tank, patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. There weren't a lot of facts to talk about regarding Randy's disappearance. If you've already listened to the episode, hopefully you have, you realize that. And then you add on top of it, we're going back 40 years. It all makes it very difficult. So the think tank was a little different than usual, but we did spend some time on the postcard. And I think overwhelming majority, everybody has a different idea about. I think a lot of people agree that it was not connected to Randy, but on the other hand, they don't know exactly how then it all got mixed in with his disappearance and everything. On top of the fact that Sandy seemed to be quite nebulous about who the person was that sent it to her and whether she knew this person or not. I wrote in the Patreon blog, once again, patreon.com/Unfound Podcast, if you'd like to be a supporter of the program, that the best guess I could make is that whoever wrote that postcard was somebody who Sandy didn't want anybody to know that she knew. I made the point, I think it's fairly obvious in reading that second postcard that the only reason that person wrote that postcard was to announce that they got engaged. That's the only real piece of information in it. Everything else is just really hello and goodbye. So why would somebody do that? I brought it up from my own. Thank you. Charlotte says she's listened to it twice. Well, thank you, Charlotte. And I'm sure Randy's family thanks you as well. I brought up something from my own personal life that was kind of like that postcard. And can I just say for the record, I hope to never have to say the word postcard in an episode again, because I try to pronounce these words correctly, the way they're written, and postcard is a tough word to say because I think people just really in everyday conversations, they just go postcard. They totally leave the T, the T is totally vanished, disappeared. And I didn't want to do that. So I worked on that word postcard quite a bit to get it right. And I hope to never have to do that again. Because I do try to pronounce these words correctly. And that took some work. But anyway, in my own personal life, something was similar to that was, and I can say this, I wonder if one of these days she'll actually see this video. I've not talked to her in over 20 years. But there was I call her girl because we were kids at the time, but a young woman I was dating when I moved from Pennsylvania to Las Vegas. She didn't want to move. I wanted to get the hell out of there. And so we had to break up, and we kept in contact. I actually went back to Pennsylvania a couple times after I moved to Las Vegas, but things were over. And she had started dating another guy, fine by me. And then, I don't know, we hadn't talked to each other in a while. Then out of nowhere, in May of 2000, and I remember it like it was yesterday, she called me. This was before I had a cell phone, so it would have been a landline. I remember the apartment I was living in. And she called me just to tell me that she got engaged and that she would be married. She ended up getting married in 2001. And that was the only reason she called me, was to tell me that. And it was a very classy move on her part. And I still to this day have a lot of respect for her doing that. But you should also know, on the other hand, that's the last time I ever spoke to her, May of 2000. So when I heard about this second postcard and saw what the topic was, it kind of reminded me of what happened in this particular situation. So I can only believe that the person who sent Sandy that card was kind of the same situation. So how did it end up getting mixed in with Randy's disappearance? I think we would all have had to have been back there in the Doran family in the early 1980s to mid 1980s to even understand that. I took a guess at it in the blog, but I could certainly be wrong. I could be so far off, not even in the same universe. But the best conclusion I could come to is that somebody that Sandy didn't want anybody to know, she knew. That's who sent it. Other people will come to their own different conclusions, and they very well may be right, and I salute them. So that was the discussion. So once again, the think tank, very different from the discussion group. That happens quite often. Let's see what some of you are. I only had a car payment because I was sick of a car not getting me to work. Mama says, I have a Honda Odyssey and it has over 200,000 miles on it. Wow, my friend Trevor drives a Honda Odyssey and it's still going strong. And if I continue taking care of it, my brother Jeff says it will keep going until 500,000. Well, let's hope, Mama. Let's hope you don't ever have another car payment anytime soon. Like I said, my friend Trevor has a Honda and he's had that van as long as I've known him, and I've known him for 9 years. So it may have 200-some thousand miles on it. Not in Texas. We say everything's slow, like turn a mint. Oh, yeah. That is one of my pet peeves. I think I talked about that before on here, Sherry, didn't I? Did I not talk about that a while ago? How some people say tournament instead of tournament drives me nuts. The other word that drives me nuts is that when people say program instead of program. I had the guy that was like an instructor at 7-Eleven. He was the guy who taught the accounting system and everything when I got hired there back in the summer of 98. He said program instead of program. I remember that to this day. That's how much it bothered me. So I know it's crazy to weird. So program tournament, not program tournament. Joyce, you are very generous. I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but in the chat, but Joyce Rivatuzo, I know some of you came to the program probably after she was on the program, but Joyce lost 2 daughters to a disappearance in 1979 right here in Florida. And she was on the program in like the spring of 2017. Joyce, I cannot believe it's over 4 years ago. And then we finally got to meet at the end of 2017 at Florida's Missing Persons Day up in Tallahassee. That was December of 2017. But that's who Joyce is, everyone. And Joyce, thank you for your super chat contribution. What Joyce has done there is hit the little square button with the $ in the middle, and you can monetarily contribute to the program. As you know, Unfound, it has no ads in it for a variety of reasons. So we rely on other ways to generate money that goes toward getting books printed and everything else that we do for the program. Filing FOIAs, which we've gotten into recently, as an example. So Joyce, thank you very much. You are very, very generous. Carrie says, I kind of think Randy left because of family not agreeing to a lifestyle he led. Maybe the announcement was him telling his family, despite what they thought, he was happy and living a good life. Could be, Carrie. The thing is, we may never know. And, so we're always going to probably be able to guess at it. And of course, unless Randy comes out, he's still alive and comes out of the woodwork to reveal himself. And I, of course, hope that can happen. But I think we know the odds at this point are very, very low. Mama says, I have to go. Okay, Mama says she has to go. That's totally fine. I do Lyft and it's busy right now. You got to make the money, Mama. Go make that Lyft money. Do it. Be careful out there. Cherie says, love the different dialects. Carrie says, program, I agree. Tournament, we have to agree to disagree. Okay, Carrie. Well, you'll meet me halfway with that one. Okay, thank you. Joyce, thank you. So that was the Randy Doran poll. A majority believing in the discussion group that the postcard was connected to his disappearance. On the think tank, it was pretty much the opposite. Moving on, I plan to do another Unfound Now this weekend. Of course, the last one I did was at the end of June. You might remember if you've watched it, I was over in Orlando for a disc golf tournament, and I filmed it in the hotel room there. Stayed in a hotel that was way nicer than I thought it was going to be, and I really loved that it was connected to a mall. How cool was that? But I did that video in the motel room there, hotel room. In fact, I think that's the second Unfound Now I've done from a hotel room. Funny how that is. But so I'm going to be doing another one this weekend. I will be doing it, right here in this room with this camera and everything. I have not selected a disappearance yet. I know Cherie sent me something maybe a couple weeks ago, a disappearance that might be a good one. So I'll be going through and picking out the best one to talk about. When I say the best one that I can use is, teaching moments, learning moments, things about this disappearance, the articles that have been written, the circumstances, because that's why I do Unfound Now. I don't do it to get more views necessarily to the YouTube channel. I do Unfound Now to bring attention, of course, to a disappearance that's fairly recent. We don't do recent disappearances on the regular program, but just trying to show all of you how we look at and analyze new disappearances when they turn up in the news. And so Unfound is really, a teaching program, a teaching program. And I hope you've watched all of them. I've done what, 12 now? It's been a year, starting with Linda Stoltfuss's from last summer. So I enjoyed doing those. They all end up, I thought when it started, I'd be able to keep them to 20 minutes, but that's just not possible. So they end up being like 30 to 40 minutes, depending. And the last one was Luis de Villa, a guy from Arkansas who had gone to Mexico and was seemingly on his way back to the United States. And within a couple of miles of the border, something happened. Not sure what to think. I know that I've seen other people have written about it, thinking that this is very common. And they think that he really was kidnapped. And, there's news out that there was a contact with his family to send money, but they didn't. I have to tell you, I think it even came out in that Unfound Now that I did, and when I actually recorded it, that I'm leaning somewhat in the opposite direction. That, could this have been just something put on by Luis and others? He really didn't want to come back to the United States, and I'm open to that. Simply for the reason I can't understand why he would stop, a couple miles from the border. No matter if he had to get gas, no matter if he had to go to the bathroom, everything's cheaper in the United States. Gas is, food is, everything. So, and if you're going to the bathroom now, there might have been a long wait. He was anticipating a long wait at the border or something, maybe. And I know things are a little different in Mexico than they are in the United States. Of course, we have violence here. People getting kidnapped and murdered at gas stations and convenience stores all the time. There's still just a part of me that there is a big question mark about the whole, the circumstances. So I've continued to keep my eye on it, but that was the last Unfound. Now, what's going to be the next one? I don't know. But I plan to film it on Saturday. At some point, I will have time to do that. Carrie says, I live with a Texan and a lower Arkansas guy. Talk about dialect differences. Okay, Carrie. So that's Unfound Now. Be looking for that. Of course, we'll post a link to it. Let everybody know when it comes out on Saturday. Next, as if you follow the program zealously, you know that I've been doing this show with Dr. Telesco for over a year, but we did not conduct a show last month. She had things going on. I had things going on, but we are scheduled for next Thursday. So I'll get to talk about this one more time next Wednesday for the next live show. It'll be 7:00 next Thursday, July 29th, 7:00 Eastern time. And we will be discussing the disappearance of Megan Lancaster. Of course, mixed in with that, combined with that, will be talking about Mike Moran and him being charged with a variety of crimes, felonies regarding sex trafficking, prostitution, and we'll talk about small-time corruption or big-time corruption in a small town of Portsmouth, Ohio. I've already sent Dr. Telesco a bunch of information. Of course, the link to the episode, a lot of news about Mike Moran being charged. And so I'm sure it's going to be a great discussion next Thursday night, 7 p.m. on her YouTube channel, not on Unfound's YouTube channel, although it will eventually be there, but it will play live on her channel, the Fischler College of Education and School of Criminal Justice YouTube channel. I'm glad I can remember that. And I look forward to speaking and talking to Dr. Telesco again. Kristen, is that Kristen both times? So thank you for both, Kristen. You were very generous. Wow, Kristen, cannot thank you enough for your generosity. Kristen says, keep doing your amazing work. You know what, Kristen? I'm going to do that along with the help of a variety of assistants. So we're going to keep doing that, Kristen. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nina says, not much in the podcast she remembers. Nina, you mean Randy Doran? Yeah, I saw you wrote that, Nina, in the group. It's been 40 years, and I think after doing 200 plus disappearances, these are just some things you have to expect. I ask the questions. I never want a guest to be afraid of saying, I don't know. I'd rather have that than them lie. So, to me, saying I don't know about something is always the first step to learning something. And so when you can do an interview and you realize that, well, I'm saying I don't know here, I don't know there. These should be things that Randy's family looks at and says, well, maybe, can we find them out now in 2021? So not every interview is going to be like Tom Brown's or Cameron Ramer's, where there's just fact after fact after fact after fact. Some of them aren't like that. And I think in general, the further you go back, the more common that becomes. Once again, Kristen, thank you for your generosity. Everybody, Cherie has also posted the link to the YouTube channel for Dr. Telesco. There, you can see it right there. She just posted it. It's youtube.com/C/Fischler College. Just click on it and we'll take you there. And in fact, I would hope you're already a subscriber to her channel. We say that every show we do with Dr. Telesco, and I know that I've mentioned it independently of the show a few times on episodes and here in the live show elsewhere. So become a subscriber to the Fischler College of Education and School of Criminal Justice YouTube channel. Please do. They do a lot of other great things besides just doing a show with me. Thank you, Kristen. We're all amazing. That is certainly true, Kristen. Thank you. Nina says, hope Eric is here tonight. I don't know if Eric's chimed in. Eric, I know what Eric you are talking about. I don't know if I've seen him yet, Nina. So that is Dr. Telesco. So let's move on. I only got a couple questions before tonight's show, but I'm going to answer one of them right now. D, everybody knows D. I'm not sure D is in here tonight, though. And I will give my best shot at this answer. She asked me, in fact, let me do something here. Let me read the entire question here. Hold on just a moment, please. Dee asked me, how do you deal with loss of a loved one or friend, Ed? Well, as all of you know, I lost my mother on November 28th of 2018. So we're coming up on 3 years now. I think, how do you deal with it? I don't know if there's any perfect way. If you care about somebody, then there's no denying that. I know for me, regarding my mother, of course, I lost grandparents too, but, it's not quite the same. I knew my grandparents on my father's side, I was like 14, 15 when they died, and they lived about 20 minutes away. I didn't see them as much as I saw my mother's parents. My grandparents, my mother's parents lived only 1 yard away. So I saw them all the time. And they lived into the 1990s, so I had a much longer time to know them, and I was around them more just because of geography. But I took the deaths of my grandparents, I think, fairly hard. I think it was just like everybody does if you know your grandparents and love them and care about them. But certainly losing a parent is different. And, with my mother, kind of knew it was coming. This was not a sudden heart attack, and she was fine one day and then gone the next. She was in the hospital for a long time, and it continued to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So, dealing with loss, you kind of see it coming. I'm sure that's a different kind of loss than a very sudden death. Like I've talked about my friend Doug. He lost his father to a heart attack back in 2012. He got up to go to the kitchen to get something. He was there with his Doug's mother, and he just keeled over and was dead before he hit the floor. I still remember that day as it was yesterday. But then Doug's mother had cancer, and it very much like my mother, took a while. And I think that certainly factors into how people deal with loss. I think another way people deal with loss, it all depends on your belief system. Some people handle loss in a way that, in thinking that, there's something else besides this. You die and you go to heaven or whatever you want to call it, and you're going to get to see all of your deceased loved ones eventually, and you all get to hang out for eternity. It's a very common belief system all over the world, not just in Christianity, but in a lot of different belief systems. On the other hand, there are people who don't believe there's anything after this. It's just lights out. I'm guessing those people maybe handle loss a little bit differently with their belief system. There's no right and wrong. If we knew, nobody really knows. That's why there's so many different ways to think about it. So how people deal with loss, I think it all depends on how your loved one died. I think it depends on your belief system. But I think what I know, and this is what, I've tried to remember, is that, regarding the loss of my mother, and I was close to my mother. In fact, I think, we got closer and closer, as we got older. As she got older, I got older. And I just try to remember that she would not have wanted me to mope around and feel hurt about her passing away or anything like that. My mother would not have wanted that. Loretta Dentzel was a party girl. She loved to go to parties. I'm not saying she was a big drinker or anything like that, but she liked to have a good time. And she loved to throw parties for me when I'd go home for birthday parties. She liked to go to parties, throw parties. She loved to buy stuff for people. She loved to gamble. She loved to, So there's no way that my mother would have wanted me or anybody else to mope around. Now, that's my mother. Maybe some other people would want people to mope around and feel bad and everything. I don't know. But for the biggest loss that I've had in my family, my mother, that's what she would have wanted. She would have wanted me to have a good time, continue doing this program. She was the biggest fan of it. She loved that I played disc golf, and I'm continuing that. And she would have wanted her son, her only son, Ed, to have a good time for as long as he's here. So that's what I try. That's how I've handled the loss of my mother. Growing my hair out. She would have hated it, but this is one version of me, one part of me, living my life to the fullest, because that's what my mother would have wanted. So, D, I think that's how you have to handle the loss of somebody. You have to live your life to the fullest, because I have to believe that these people who died really cared about you. That's what they would have wanted. Whatever that means, people are going to do whatever that means to you. And everybody's going to make different choices regarding that. But I think that if these people, we care about them, they care about us, they leave this earth, I think that they would want us to enjoy our lives and not feel brokenhearted and everything else, even though that's a part of the healing process. At some point, you just have to figure, you know what, I'm here, I might as well do something with it. Because one day, we're going to go where they went. And maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't be so good. So we might as well just take advantage of the time we have here. Nina says, fasting is a great way to maintain. Yeah. Thank you, Joyce. Laura's super late. And as I continue to say, the only person that's not allowed to be late, Laura, is me. D asked, did you have a TV show or something? Your voice sounds so familiar. No, I was an actor at Star Trek The Experience, but surely nobody remembers my voice from that. And I do Unfound. That's about it. Cherie, I don't know if that answers your question or not, D. Cherie says you deal with it day to day. Yes, Cherie has certainly suffered some loss in her life for sure. Some days good, some days, some not so much. Yeah. Hello, Alice. Capital letters. Hello, Ed. Good to see you, my friend. Alice, good to see you. Cherie says, I think you were right about that. Kathy, sure, it depends on so many things, your personality, upbringing, your relationship to the person, your beliefs, etc. I have a very strong constitution. I've had many losses and I'm perfectly okay. Think that if you have a belief system, once again, we don't do religion and politics on Unfound anytime, ever. That's never going to happen. So I have to believe that depending on your belief system is one of the ways you handle loss. And I think it also, is probably determinant on how you handle life as well. I'm inclined to believe for people who think that it's just you die and it's lights out and it's nothing, that, they're probably kind of try to live it up as much as they can here. Whereas people who, believe there's something after this, heaven and hell, whatever you want to call it, whatever belief system, I'm not picking one. Or reincarnation, some people believe in that too. Of course, General Patton famously believed in it. Then maybe you're thinking, well, maybe I can get this, maybe I can perfect this the second time around or something. Maybe. But I think that there's a lot of factors in here. But I think that if you're going to be here, you might as well do something good with it. You might as well. That's my answer, D. Going back to the list, the Zoe Campos trial, I have somebody who's been keeping her thumb on the pulse of what has been going on. And she told me that there's like a 60% chance that it's probably not, or what 60% was that? No, I forget. But it's close to 50-50 that it's probably going to get pushed back. Again, it's supposed to happen in August. 50-50 chance of it actually getting started in August. That's the update on that. I have another update on another trial that's supposed to be happening, but I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. I think I'll be allowed to talk about it next week. That's something that somebody sent me a message right before the show started. So Zoe Campos, of course, we have a lot of trials that are supposed to be happening some point. Of course, Steve Pankey's, of course, Austin Pivo, his murder. What else do we have? Tyler North, Jonathan Estes, Alyssa Turney. We got quite a few that we're keeping an eye on. Of course, Kamisha Hollis's, the father of her children. Lot that are still outstanding out there that still have not happened yet. I get the feeling this is going to be like one of those things like when you work at like a 7-Eleven and, there's like an hour of nobody in there. You're twiddling your thumbs behind the counter at the register, not doing anything. And then all of a sudden 10 people show up at the same time and then there's a line out the door. This kind of has that feeling to me. That there's going to be nothing. And then all of a sudden, these trials are all going to happen at one time. Just get that feeling right now. But we'll see. Cherie says, that's right. This is water. Look at you, Cherie. David Foster Wallace, right, Cherie? This is water. That's that commencement speech he gave somewhere years and years and years ago. It's his name, right? David Foster Wallace, Alyssa Turney, right, Carrie? Yeah. But yeah, this is water. That isn't fantastic, Cherie. I even give you permission. If that's what you're talking about, Cherie, please put a link into that fantastic commencement speech he gave about living and and having a proper attitude toward life. Spectacular. If anybody wants to look that up, just look up This Is Water. David Foster Wallace, I think, is his name. And it's a fantastic commencement speech. D says, well, dang, I'm not sure why you sound familiar besides your podcast. I don't know, D. That I don't know. I have not done any voiceover work or anything like that for commercials or animation or anything else. Never, ever, never done that. Yeah, Shree reminds me, Tom Brown is supposedly a grand jury. Yeah, we'll see. There, D's out. Have you already talked about Tom Brown tonight anymore? What are your views on the update about grand jury being pushed back? D, I'm not convinced the grand jury is ever going to happen. That they are trying to get people to call in to make it happen, again, I think tells me that I don't know what there is to do. They've already decided. August 2019. They've already decided. The decision's already been made. I'm not saying it's right. I don't know what happened. I have my theories, but there's just nothing else to be done. Carrie says, I think it was a huge misunderstanding and one wasn't set to go, but that is my own opinion. And Sheree there is posting that link for everyone. The comment that Sheree's made about This Is Water. It's a fantastic commencement speech. Fantastic. And I urge you to check it out. Moving on. FOIAs, they've suddenly become a topic. I already talked about getting the FOIA. Of course, I did not do it. A very industrious listener ended up filing the FOIA paperwork for Rebecca Gary. I've had a chance to look at it. Interesting work, some new names and some new information in it that hopefully I'll be able to talk about more in depth one of these days. I'm still waiting on this FOIA from a case I'm working on, 628 pages. Have not gotten it yet. But I had a former guest, cannot reveal the case. She wants to keep it quiet for now. But she actually filed a FOIA. Got a lot more information since she was on the program. And she sent it to me. I've not had a chance to look at it yet. So suddenly we don't talk about FOIAs for a long time. And then all of a sudden, within a few weeks, we got a lot of FOIA stuff going on. And when I can talk about in depth about all of it, I will. But I always like to keep all of you informed. By the way, while you were watching, please hit the thumbs up button for this live show. It helps us with the YouTube algorithms. I mentioned that early in the program, but I know several people have gotten in after that, and I know how much you love to be reminded. D, I just answered your question like 5 minutes ago about how to deal with loss. D, you're going to have to go back and find that and see what I had to say. Regarding FOIAs, any more than that, it really not is that I have to admit, it really hasn't changed my mind. FOIAs are just not a convenient tool for what we do here. That's just too hit and miss. You have to wait too long or you might not get anything at all. And I don't run the program by anybody's time constraints than my own. I run the program on one schedule, my own. So, and of course the guests. So I don't want to have to be sitting around, waiting for FOIAs all the time. That's just it's not why I started Unfound, to wait for other people, to send me information and everything. So, I still don't know how much they'll become a part, probably no more than they have been, which is very little. We'll just have to see. But it is interesting though, that the what is it, an acronym? FOIA has been talked about so much in the last month when I know that we don't do much of them. So there's that. Moving on now, there is a huge update. This is a disappearance that I do not know if it's really been mentioned at all in any of the update episodes, but certainly because of what's going on now, it will get mentioned in August's update episode at the end of August, and that is Kimberly Ramer. If you will remember, she's actually from Florida, but she had gone to OPP, Alabama to see her father, and he came home, thought she was in bed or whatever, gets up the next day, she's gone. He goes into her room and sees that it looks like there have been some signs of violence there. And this is a fairly old disappearance from the 1990s. And it seems for a long time, not much has gone on. But now we've come to find out that a grand jury was convened, and I'm going to read the entire statement, so bear with me regarding this. A little bit more, though, and it's kind of weird that this happened this week because, in finding out, reminding myself of what actually all the particulars of Kimberly's disappearance, the theme for that episode was secrets, because she had a secret. I had to go back and look at my notes, but she was seeing a guy behind everybody's back. I don't know if he was married or something, but the secret boyfriend. And then there were some other things that I went back and saw in the notes. If you don't remember that episode, I urge you to go back and listen to it. Her mother was the guest. And there are a few different theories regarding this, and a theory even involving Kimberly's sister's boyfriend, whose name is Jeremy. He seemed to have no alibi between 2 a.m. and 10 a.m., but who does? Most of us don't have alibis for that time unless you live with somebody and you're in bed together. But the coincidence is that theme of that episode was secrets. Well, completely coincidentally, this Friday's episode, the theme is also secrets because of, and of course, talk about that episode before this show is over. So weird. Kimberly Ramer's is a disappearance we covered on Unfound in the late summer of 2018. So it's just almost 3 years ago that episode came out. That was the same summer we covered Tom Brown's disappearance, Amanda Fravel's disappearance, Sean Ginyard's disappearance, Zoe Campos's disappearance, all during that summer. And many others. Was Rosemary Rapp's that summer, Ellen Sloan's was that summer, and Kimberly Ramer's was also one of those. So it's been about 3 years. So now I'm going to read this statement, so bear with me. It's long. Covington County District Attorney Walt Merrill, this is from him. State of Alabama releases a statement regarding WAAO's discovery that a grand jury has been assembled and has been hearing testimony and evidence in the nearly 24-year-old case of missing teen Kimberly Ramer from Alabama. The statement from District Attorney Walt Merrill regarding the report of the meeting of the July 2021 Covington County Grand Jury. While the report of the grand jury is a public document, state law prohibits me from discussing with any detail any of the evidentiary matters that the grand jury may have reviewed. Grand jury by design is a secret proceeding. That secrecy is designed to protect the character and good name of any innocent person, as well as to promote the effectiveness and protection of law enforcement, who would find it dangerous and difficult to serve indictments on suspects if they knew ahead of time that they had been indicted. Because of the grand jury report referenced the investigation into Kimberly Ramer's disappearance, I am compelled to release this statement. With that said, I can confirm that I hired retired Florida Department of Law Enforcement Chief Detective Dennis Haley as a part-time investigator for the district attorney's office. Dennis is a highly decorated law enforcement officer, having previously received the highest honor among Florida law enforcement, named by the governor as the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year in 2015. Wow. He also has received national accolades and recognition for his involvement in the investigations and arrests of numerous cold case murderers. Knowing how desperately we would all like to see Kimberly Ramer's murderer brought to justice, so they're just outright calling it a murder. Of course, there was signs of violence in her bedroom. To justice, and knowing that Dennis is an expert in investigations such as this one, I hired him for that purpose. Additionally, retired Chief Nikki Carnley, former of the Op Police Department, and Brett Holmes, both investigators within the district attorney's office, have proven to be essential components to the investigation. Simultaneously, I conferred with Sheriff Blake Turman and Chief Kevin Chance of the Op Police Department, as well as Sheriff Mike Adkins of Walton County, Florida. I apprised them of our efforts, meaning I let them know. All three of them have contributed vital support and assistance to the investigation at every level. This has truly been a joint effort, with the Op Police Department Chief Chance personally assisting in the matter, along with his Assistant Chief David Harrell. Walton County dedicating the efforts of Sergeant Josh Martin and Sheriff Turman, committing the assistance of an investigator, Tommy Merritt, and of Captain Mike Irwin, his chief investigator. Kimberly Ramer's family has been kept apprised of the investigation since its inception. We have intentionally maintained media silence. Without this joint cooperation, the likes of which we've never experienced before, the progress we've made thus far would not have been possible. I cannot express my appreciation through the Sheriff Turman, Chief Chance, and Sheriff Adkins. They have gone above and beyond. The investigation is still ongoing and has been very productive. Per the grand jury's instructions, we will reconvene and present the next phase of the evidence we have discovered in the near future. I am confident that we will find justice for Kimberly Ramer. We will not rest until we do. So that was the statement. Once again, from the meeting, from the Covington County Grand Jury, and this was a statement from the District Attorney's Office, looking into the disappearance of Kimberly Ramer, that they are calling a murder. Her remains have not been found, but they are calling it a murder. They have reason to believe that. And I think that when the episode came out 3 years ago, I think it was fairly obvious that it was some kind of murder. There was at least some sort of violence that happened inside her father's house. Now, I did go back, like I said, and check my notes. As you would expect, after 200 some disappearances, I do have to go back and check my notes to see all of the ins and outs. I remember that she went to Alabama. Remember she was home alone. I remember that there was a belief that her sister's boyfriend could have had something to do with her disappearance. I remember there being some rumors about some other people, like some party or something in Alabama or something. And so I went back and I found the actual script, I would call it, from that episode. And I'm just going to read it to you. So maybe this will help remind you as well. And of course, I would urge you to go back and listen to that episode. Crystal says, I love Unfound. Thank you, Crystal. You're very kind. Carrie's saying about FOIAs, you either have to fight, or they should throw everything at you. Yes. Suzanne says, after reading that, I went back to listen to the episode, Kimberly Ramer episode. Great. Carrie says, Kimberly Ramer got so little publicity except for some internet trolls hindering thoughts. Kathy says, yes, he was married with a child. Kathy has a great memory for this stuff. Sheree says, I can't believe it's been 3 years since that summer. Goodness, I know. Sheree, I know. I know. Time flies. I know. And Sheree, Eric, you see, Eric says, great. Eric, yes, please contact Sheree. Your name came up in a conversation we had after last week's. It's nothing but good stuff. Trust me. So please contact Sheree. She'll explain it to you. But here was the part of the script from that episode. The following issues have defined Kimberly's disappearance. One that just passed its 21st year of being unsolved a couple days ago. So this is in 2018. Number one, the revelation after Kimberly disappeared that a young man within the Ramer family circle had a long, violent criminal record. This is her sister's boyfriend. Number two, the discovery that Kemberly had a secret boyfriend, an older man with a child who only her closest friends knew about. And number three, a series of phone calls made to random numbers in Florida from Kimberly's house on the morning of the disappearance. See, I totally forgot about these phone numbers. So, and like I said, the episode's theme was secrets. And like I also already said, this Friday's episode is all about secrets, and you'll hear about that in a moment. So it's amazing those little details that kind of, at least for me, kind of drop out of my head after a while. Like I said, I remember the general circumstances, but I totally forgot about those phone numbers that were dialed randomly from Kimberly's house that morning. Totally forgot all about them. Totally gone. So I urge you once again, go back to listen to that episode. You will find it came out, I'm going to say July or August of 2018. Nina says, if you tried a man bun, there will be no man buns happening, Nina. No. Let's move on to this. So Kimberly Ramer, the question I have is that, what are they going to find now that couldn't be found back at the time? I don't know. Maybe they found some new evidence. Maybe there was DNA or something. I don't know. That would be news to me. But on the top of that, I don't even know if a grand jury regarding her disappearance has ever been convened at all. I mean, for all I know, this might be the 10th grand jury they've convened trying to get something started and hasn't been successful. I don't know. So, but if we knew that information, maybe we could better judge what is going on now, 24 years later. Just don't know. Carrie says, I forgot about the phone calls too. Cherie says, I'm going to have to go back and re-listen now for sure. Yeah. And once again, Kimberly's mother, Sue is her name. I've not spoken to her a while. Maybe I should contact her to see what is up with that. Maybe I can get some more information, maybe for next week. Moving on, I think I mentioned that the next volume of Unfound will be coming out shortly. And here are the disappearances that will be in that book. And they're all from the end of 2017 in order. Troy Galloway, Patty Action from right here in Clearwater. Danielle Bell from also in Florida. Evelyn Hartley from Wisconsin, of course, going back to Troy's from Sonora, California. Dal Phillips from Helenwood, Tennessee. Tyler Stice from Kingman, Arizona, a place I've been to many times. Bill Underhill from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I think it's still the only disappearance we've covered from that state. And Patricia Taylor from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's kind of a wide range of different kinds of disappearances there. Patty Action, almost certainly murdered. Danielle Bell, almost certainly murdered. Troy Galloway, some different theories. Evelyn Hartley, certainly kidnapped. You'd have to believe, unfortunately, that she was murdered eventually, but we're still not sure. Was she the target of her disappearance, or did she happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time? Dal Phillips, kind of like Troy Galloway's. Did he walk off or something else? Tyler Stice. Unfortunately, I have to remind you that, of course, his sister Jessica committed suicide in October of 2018. Bill Underhill seemed like he maybe walked off. And Patricia Taylor, I think there's a very good chance that she's still alive today, running off from a girl's home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we got a little bit of everything is going to be in that book, and it should be out soon. All of the information that is needed to complete it has been sent to my guy who does the books now, and he is working on it. So that will be season 2, volume 3, And those are all the cases covered toward the end of 2017. If you're interested, what will be in season 2, volume 4, that will start with the episodes at the beginning of 2018. And that's where Aaron Barnard, Jeremy Burt, 2 disappearances that very well could be connected. Nikki Wells is in there, Marina Bolter. Those will be some of the disappearances that will come out in the next book, the beginning of 2018 was when those episodes came out. So, Kathy says, no forced entry. Person probably either Lennon or had a key with Kimberly Ramer. Very possible. Carrie says, regarding Kimberly Ramer, I wonder if anything recovered during initial investigation. At evidence, they now have technology to test. I don't know, Carrie. This all, I have to tell you that this even popped up. Total surprise to me. Sue or nobody else let me know that it was coming. Sheree says, Ed, have you seen the latest with Alan White? Someone crewed an account using his photo to buy certain lady items. That's news to me, Sheree. Created an account using his photo to buy certain lady items. We have to remind everybody that was an Unfound Now that I did back in December. His remains ended up being found not far from the car that was abandoned. Still unsure what happened that morning. I think a lot of people believe that he was murdered, but to my knowledge, it's not been called that. They were very, just didn't have much to say about the finding of his remains or anything else. But that's news to me, Sheree. Yes. Pamela says Calgary Stampede, right, Pamela? Kathy says she checks for Alan White. Great work getting the books out. Thanks, Suzanne. We're working on it, getting it done. Sheree says either someone is trolling and using Dead Man's photo or someone he knows is using it. Creepy. Either way, it is. Yeah, and the thing is, Sheree, I don't know if that's unusual, or not. I don't, I've heard about missing women's pictures being used like on Match.com and Plenty of Fish dating sites and everything. So maybe it's more common than we realize. I don't know. Moving on. Unfound on the ground. I mentioned that I had spoken to Eric on Monday, giving him a little tutoring session on how to use the Unfound YouTube channel, because we are going to be moving from Zoom for the Unfound on the Grounds. This would be for premium Patreon members, by the way. Patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. And we're converting, going to YouTube because I think it will be easier for those people and get more people involved for the premium Patreon members. So I was working with him, showing him how to set all of it up. Another change we're making for, once again, I know there are many premium Patreon members in here tonight and I'd spoken about this during the think tank this past Sunday, that we're changing the time. We're going to go a little later. It's going to be more like how when this Unfound Live Show starts at 9. So we're pushing back the time a little bit. We're changing it to YouTube. And I'm hoping that will generate more people getting involved, more people signing up at patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. So we'll see how it goes. I think Zoom was just a little too involved. And I think people, like in this chat right here, I think people like to give their opinions, but I think I've also discovered that if people know that they're being recorded, which is what we do for the Unfound on the Grounds, that their voices are going to get out there and they're eventually going to be heard on YouTube when Unfound, these episodes become available to everybody. I think that might scare some people. So we're changing some things, and we'll see how it goes. I'm very hopeful. I don't know. Thank you for posting that again, Cherie. So premium Patreon members, be looking for that. And the next Unfound on the Ground, by the way, is this coming Monday. Let's answer another question. This comes from Charlotte, who I know is in here. It's a very specific question about Randy Doran's case, but I'm going to handle it in a much more general way. Charlotte asked, why did some of Randy's family seem to be so unconcerned about him being missing, and some of them still seem to be unconcerned? I think Charlotte, in any of these guests, not just his sister from last week, but in any disappearance when I have a family member on the program, is that we weren't there. I just give the example of my family. I remember a time my brother Brian was a truck driver, and this was before cell phones. So he would be out of contact. And even though I was living in Las Vegas and he was driving on the 15th through Las Vegas, going from Salt Lake City down to LA back and forth, I still really didn't see him that much. And you couldn't get in contact with him, and you just kind of take for granted that's the way things are. And then once in a while, he'd call me from a payphone, or he got a hotel room at one of the casinos and say, hey, I'm here, and let's get together. And that's what we do. This is the same brother that now lives about 20 minutes from me here in Florida. And after a while, you just take for granted that's just the way it is. And I think on top of that, we have to look that Randy was not a 10-year-old girl. He was not a person with any physical disabilities or mental disabilities. Even though I know it was written in Barbara's blog about him having maybe some mental issues and everything, Valerie denied that in the interview. So I'm not sure, what to make all of that. I'm not trying to get between them. I don't know. Barbara only knows what the family's told her. So I don't know. But as we, I think, came up in the think tank on Sunday evening, if he did have some mental issue going on, I don't know, bipolar disorder. I'm not saying I believe that, but even so, he found a way to get from California to New Orleans somehow, even though he didn't have a car. He must have hitchhiked his way there. So if he had some mental issue, it didn't get in the way of him figuring out how to get from one place the whole way across the United States. And when he got there, he had the mind to go get a postcard, saying that word again, and writing it out, and it'd be very legible, and it made sense, and he addressed it, and he sent it back to California. So it didn't seem to me like he had any issues going on with any of that. So I guess what I'm saying is maybe they just didn't think there was any reason to worry about him. He had been in the Marines for a while. He could take care of himself. He's 22 years old. And that might have been enough for that family. I'm not saying that's going to be enough for every family. In fact, I think in the 21st century, it's very much the opposite. It could be said that maybe some parents are too involved with their children and don't let their children live their own lives. I'm not here. I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to get into that. But it may just have been enough in the Doran family for them to say he can take care of himself. I apologize. I guess I was due for another technical difficulty, right? I was pretty much due. I should just say, Ed, don't touch any don't touch things when you're doing the show. How about that? I don't know how many people. I'm going to have to probably splice this together afterwards. But I do want to continue with this just so it's all on the record. People can watch this afterwards, even if we don't get many people back in here, which I totally understand. It was a total mess up on my part. I can splice it all together to make a complete episode. Thanks. But I did want to mention, I don't know how many people are getting in here. I did want to mention that Robert Toker, hello, Deborah. Deborah, you got in at exactly the wrong time. Right when I was messing around with the microphone and it messed up. Robert Toker, the investigator, if you'll remember, he was the investigator for the disappearance of Shawn Antill. You heard Julie Scott talk about how he wasn't a very good cop. Well, he pled guilty just this week to a variety of charges, including tampering with records, obstruction of official business, and dereliction of duty, while he worked for the police department that is still continues to investigate Shawn's disappearance. Now, the issue is, are any of those things connected to Shawn? Did he mess up Shawn's investigation, either by accident or on purpose? I don't know. And thank you for anybody who's getting back in here. I deeply apologize about what happened there. The microphone cord for this computer just fell out of the computer. Shree's Robert Toker and Justo Smoker. What are the odds we would know both of them? Sheree, I think you're making a funny there. I think that's what you just did. I think Sheree made a funny. But Robert Toker, he pled guilty to these charges. Now, you should know, in turn, he's turned around and filed charges against the police department for, illegal firing or, letting him go or whatever. So he's countersuing, I guess you'd say. We'll see if he has any shot at that. But being that he pled guilty to those issues, I don't know how he can say that he wasn't fired for good reason. But I will post what Julie sent me in the discussion group and on the page so everybody can see that. Charlotte, going back to Charlotte's, yes, there I am, Eric. Yes, I messed it up good tonight. Regarding Charlotte's question, just in general, regarding, asking about Randy Duran's family and everything, I just think we can't judge these people too harshly. Nobody ever expects that they're going to have a family go missing. And then when it happens, as you've heard on this very program, that a lot of people don't know what to do. Some of them have what you might call brain freezes. They get so caught up in the emotions, they can't think straight. And a lot of them don't do anything because they just don't want to believe that anything bad is happening. That's a very common human trait. So, Charlotte, I'm trying to attempt to answer your question again. That I just don't think that we can judge them too harshly. We weren't there. We didn't know Randy. We don't know what was going on at the time. Valerie's doing her best to explain, what was going on at the time, but she had her own life to lead in Las Vegas. And you have to remember, Randy wrote that postcard and Valerie's not even mentioned in it. So, I don't know how close they were. It's just hard to say. But I think there's a lot of things going on there. I just don't think that anybody should judge them too harshly. I think somebody posted, well, she sure did say a lot of I don't knows in that interview and everything. Well, I know some people don't like that. I don't mind it because it should show that guest where, the inquiries need to be. And I'd rather a person say that than lie, for sure. So I try to give I'm not going to say that maybe sometimes decisions they make are hard to understand. Certainly. But when it comes to those initial reactions and We have to remember the 1970s in the United States is totally different from now. New Orleans, it probably seemed a lot farther away than it does now. So they just figured he took off. He's going to do what he's going to do, and we'll hear back from him someday. And that just didn't happen. Suzanne says, every family is different. I try to never judge. Some families are super close, some not. Kathy, every family is different. Some have lots of communication, others don't have much communication. Yeah, and we have to remember that, once again, he wasn't 10 years old. He was a 22. He had been in the military. He was certainly capable of taking care of himself. And I'm sure that factored into it as well. But in asking those questions, and keep in mind, most of the time, I know the answers I'm going to get before I ask them, because that's why we have an interview outline, that I usually know when some of those answers are going to be, I don't know, but I still have to ask them because that's what I do. So I don't want any of you to think that, well, this interview sure wasn't prepared for, or something like that. No, they're all prepared for quite well. But I know sometimes we're going to get into areas where the guest doesn't know as much as maybe we think she should. Maybe. Once again, we weren't there. And it's always, as Jamie's saying, it's always better to ask. So, I think the important part is that now they're bringing more attention to it. They've come on the program, trying to get some of these things sorted out. I think that Barbara is doing a fantastic job for them on her blog. This is exactly what the Doran family needs. Now, unfortunately, it took 40 years to get it, but better now than never. Because you never know what can happen. You just never know. And as Barbara stated, she has like a list of 150 unidentified remains that she needs to go through. And who knows what she might find. I don't know is always better than a lie. True. Lots of it come from the silent stuff. Yeah, right. So I just wanted to follow up that for you, Charlotte. And so now I'm going to finally end this live show, which was going smoothly until I decided to mess it up. I want to talk about Friday's episode. We're going to be covering the disappearance of Rashawn Francis from Scranton, Pennsylvania. He disappeared on November 6th, 2018. The guest will be his mother, Denise DeGraff. And dare I say, she has one of the best voices of a guest that has been on the program. There's just something about her voice that is very interesting to me, and you'll get to hear it on Friday. But Rashawn, and the title of the episode is Keeping Secrets. I already talked about that earlier in the show. Suzanne said, if Randy's still alive, I hope he runs across the podcast and he knows his family does love him. Right. True. Rashawn was from New York City, and his job prospects were not going very well there. So he decided to move to all places, Scranton, Pennsylvania, where a person who called himself a cousin lived there. You will hear from Denise saying that this person is not a cousin of Rashawn's. Rashawn went to live with this guy in Scranton. Rashawn got a job. He seemed to be doing okay, and he went there in like 2015. And then sometime in 2017, as you will hear his mother say, started to exhibit a little bit of, bizarre behavior. Of course, she wasn't seeing him. She was still in New York, but, some of the things he would say on the phone, like, somebody's after him, or the neighbors upstairs are, following him. And he didn't want to, he was, at first he was making these usual trips back and forth to New York, but then he stopped doing that because he said that people were waiting for him there. Started to seem to get very paranoid. And as we've heard many times on Unfound, could never quite say who was after him. And on top of that, this guy that he chose to live with, his name is Ty, we'll be not using his full name in the episode, was taking money from Shawn. They were supposed to be paying the rent. Ty said, well, Rashawn, just give me the rent money. You're half of the rent money and I'll pay it. Well, Ty was just taking the money and wasn't paying the rent. So Rashawn ended up having to move out, living on his own. Maybe things seemed to get better. But in the end, as we know, he did go missing. And it was on a day, November 6th, where he called his mother and he was saying these things like somebody's after him. He has to get out of here. Tell everyone that I love them. And that was that. He hung up the phone. His mother tried calling him back 100 times. Rashawn didn't pick up. And there was a video camera that took a picture of him in a nearby city called Dixon City, which is like a 2-hour walk, like 6 miles away from where Rashawn lived. And that was the last, I guess you call it, a sighting of him on this video camera. He's by himself. He's in a coat. He's dressed for the elements. He has a backpack or something. And that was it. Now, and I am going to be doing a video here on YouTube to do a map analysis of his disappearance, to show where he lived, to show where the video camera was, just like I kind of did most recently with Chance Engelbert's disappearance. Well, the reason this is called Secrets, keeping secrets, is because it was discovered not long before he went missing that Rashawn was actually married and that his wife still lived in New York and he was living in Scranton, and his mother did not know about this until very shortly before he went missing. And it turns out that Rashawn went missing right before his wife, and they had been married since at least 2015. So he was married and then still left to go to Scranton, Pennsylvania. That his wife was planning to go down to move there and live with him. And he goes missing right before she shows up. In addition, what you're going to hear is that although he was displaying this paranoid behavior with his mother, with her on the phone, it doesn't seem he was displaying this behavior with anybody else, including his wife. So those are some of the things you're going to be left to analyze by all of you this coming Friday. There are articles about Rashawn's disappearance out there. You can actually see, I'll be posting a picture. I will get it to post on Facebook and on our website, theunfoundpodcast.com. To see his picture of the day on the day he disappeared. And you're going to have to judge, what exactly was going on here. It very well may be that he had some mental condition going on. Or maybe Ty did something to him. And we're going to talk that, and he's talked about quite a bit in the episode. Or could it be that Rashawn was like, oh my wife's going to be moving to Scranton. I don't want to be married. I don't want her here. I don't want to be married anymore. And he just took off. I think that's an option. It'll be up for you to, of course, to decide. Carrie says, haven't heard this in a minute. Edward, channeling Heather when you bug her up. Yes, Edward. Yeah, Yeah, thank you so much, Ed, for all that you do. You're welcome, Charlotte. Suzanne says, thank you for doing the maps. They really help. I like doing them, Suzanne, so I'm going to keep doing them. If disappearance warrants it, I will do it. Jamie said that, God, that's so complicated. I know, Jamie. You're talking about this Friday's episode. You're right. I agree. And we do the best we can to straighten all of this stuff out. So that is this Friday. Rashawn Francis, November 6th, 2018, disappeared from Scranton, PA, although he was seen on a camera in Dixon City, PA. The guest is his mother, Denise DeGraff, and the episode is called Keeping Secrets. The last time I used the Secrets theme was way back for Kimberly Ramer's, coincidentally. And like I said, there will be map analysis for this particular episode. So that's it. Somehow we managed to get through it, even though I really tried to ruin this show tonight at about the 10:30 mark. So what did we talk about tonight? Disc golf over in DeBerry, doing some practice. I haven't been practicing enough. I'm still fasting. Maybe that's the reason I messed it up. I'm fasting. That's the excuse. I have not eaten any food since about 7 p.m. yesterday. Got a birthday coming up August 1st. Might be going to Pennsylvania. Talked about the Miami condo. Go to the channel Building Integrity. Talked about the Doran poll, Unfound Now, Dr. Telesco, the Zoe Campos trial, Foya's, Kimberly Ramer with his grand jury, season 2, volume 3, Unfound on the Ground, Shawn Antill took some questions, and then once again finished it up with the preview of this Friday's episode, the disappearance of Rashawn Francis. Sheree is telling all of you to keep your head on a swivel out there. Be aware of your surroundings. All 360 degrees. And you will hear me on Friday, and then some of you will see me on Sunday for the think tank. That's it. I apologize for messing up. I'm going to splice this all together. So I'm going to, when everybody looks at it somewhere down the road, they'll never know that happened. And good night, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Eric, for your donation, by the way. Thank you for the super chat money, Eric. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Good night.